It's my privilege to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Gaurav Baid, the co-founder of Avatar and the leading innovator in deep tech. At Avatar, he is the driving the use of AI native solutions and the 3D augmented reality to transform e-commerce. With a background as an investment banker at Dish Bank, he brings a unique mix of financial and tech expertise. He also plays a key role in the tech ecosystem as a tech venture partner at Titan Capital and as a member of the AML Advisory Board of Dev Network. So please join me on welcoming Mr. Gaurav for an engaging talk. Here to the stage.
So, good afternoon, everyone. It's my profound pleasure to be in a room full of intelligent thinkers like yourselves. Uh, and thanks a lot to Dr. Madan for setting up the stage such nicely. I hope I'm able to add to it and give you guys a good talk over the next 30 to 40 minutes. What we will go over today is a- an understanding about how the future would be. But before we delve into the future, let me start with a quick confession. My journey of getting here hasn't been a straight line, hasn't been a ladder, as many of you would have had in your own journey. It has been more like a jungle gym, as Cyril Sandberg has quite famously put. I started as a student of STEM, solving physics equation, ventured into balancing books as a chartered accountant, moved on to decoding human behavior during my MBA at FMS, and somewhere along that journey, discovered the magic that lives at the intersection of disciplines. So today, I'm teaching machines to think across disciplines with context and intent. Uh, so yeah, as I was saying, my journey hasn't been a straight line, more of a jungle gym, moved across disciplines, understanding the context and intent through that. Right after my MBA, I joined Deutsche as a tech investment banker. Had the opportunity to sit across boardrooms of several tech giants, learning and seeing perspectives from all those players. And probably that's where the spark happened. The spark, which was around the timing of, I would say, late 2014, early 2015 for me, where I saw the confluence of AI and computer vision coming together. Now, these were the two strong pillars at the very beginning of our journey at Avatar. Back then, we were firm believers that AI would become an extension of human brain and computer vision will augment human sight. It's somewhat proven true today with the advent of LLMs and BLMs in that space. We were always research focused, building on these two pillars and kind of becoming the true deep tech company coming out of India. When we started the journey, me and my co-founder Cham, we used to have this analogy that let's build the next Google from India. As our journey progressed, our conviction grew stronger, and we realized that we don't want to build the next of anything. We want to build the first of that from India for the world, and that's how our technology has shaped up. But what's the important lesson for all of us to gather from this? My journey is keeping that aside. What I truly want to tell everyone is trust the detours. Is the interdisciplinary approach that I have had in my journey that helps me to do a lot of things much more successfully than I would have otherwise been able to do. It's about connecting those dots across different domains that gives me the perspective of running a deep tech company from India, building it for Fortune 500 enterprises across the globe. As Steve Jobs very famously said, right? Like you, most of the times you can't see these dots connect while you're building. It's usually when you reflect, when you look back, you see the dots connecting much better. So when these detours come in your journey, today may be another such detour for many of you that you are taking a new step in a new direction. Uh, Trust, have full faith in this because this is going to help you a lot as you continue building your own journey along the way. Now, why is it such an important moment for you? Why do you think it's such a good time? I think Dr. Madan also in the previous talk was touching upon it. Why is it such a great time to be part of this batch? I kind of concur to what was discussed earlier as well. From an India perspective, there has never been a much better time. From a tech perspective, we have all seen, most of you would have seen the dot-com bubble, the dot-com bust, early 2000s, how things evolved from there on. I would say, sitting in 2025, we have the same kind of moment for all of us in the tech space, especially in the AI space. That's one of the pillars of your course today. But being in India gives you an added advantage. The shift of technology is happening from west to the east. The moment for India to build upon that is here, and we should all leverage that. So that's being in our advantage. But while doing that, uh, we should definitely focus on our roots. We should build it in the way that India should truly benefit from it, and we'll touch upon that. But before we go there, let's have a quick raise of hands. In the span of last 1 week, how many of you have used an AI tool, which could be a Copilot, which could be a Chat GPT, which could be a Nano Banana, an image generation? Right, almost all of you, right? In the last 24 hours, how many of you have used a similar tool? And today, how many of you have used that tool again? So you see that coverage. Now the next facts which I'm going to lay out. Today, in India, 92% of the knowledge workers use AI. That's way higher than the global average of 75%. And when you look at this room right now, it was almost 100%. That all of you are using AI in your daily life. That is one of the strong pillars for India's foundational growth from here on. India is ranked number 2 in terms of the Gen AI startups which have come up. The hub is right over here, right in Bangalore, where we all are sitting today. I think the startups, if I remember the count correctly, over the last 1 year, the AI startups count in India have risen by 3.7 times. There has never been that kind of a growth for any sector. So that's another testament to the fact that it's such a great time for you guys to enter into this space, enter into AI and cybersecurity. The third fact and the third pillar, uh, Indian developers, and it's an amazing revolution. It was for me as well when I got to know that Indian developers are number 1 in terms of contributions to GitHub projects for the AI domain. It's the amazing feat, I would say, that we have achieved, and that's why I was earlier stating that the shift of the technology from west to east is happening. It's happening in front of us, and all of us would get an opportunity to play a part in that. So because the moment is so ripe for us to take benefit from, I think it's way of paramount importance that all of you take advantage of it. Today we'll talk about 3 stories, but before we get into those 3 stories, I just want to everyone settled in. Okay. So again, I think the Vice Chancellor sir was talking about ISRO, right? So I just thought of why not weave that into the story before we get there. How many of you understand the difference between the approach that ISRO takes versus what NASA does? Any thoughts, any ideas? Like, why are they different? How are their strategies different? How do they determine the outcome of their projects? Like, how do they go about it?
I think one thing is unclear, they are doing 1/10 of the cost.
Yes. And how do they achieve that? That's a very valid point. Why do you think they're able to? And all of us agree, right, that ISRO is also successful.
Yes.
So how, with 1/10 of the cost or 1/10 of the budget, they are as successful as many other space programs in the world today?
Thought process itself, maybe they wanted to.
Yes, that's one of the reasons. Thought process, mindset, yes. Other points?
Also, intellectually first principles.
Intellectually, yes. Sorry.
Using the first principles.
Yeah, of course.
Is around
Yeah, going to the first principles is another important point.
I think they have very motivated people. They are well motivated to do the work. I mean, the positive value.
Absolutely, it is. Without which that success wouldn't have been possible. The mindset, the motivation of folks, yes, definitely.
within the limited resource, they want to do the best. That's why we also have limited resource, but compared to others, like there are trillions, they have a lot of funding, but we have a limited. But within the limited stuff, what best they can able to, I think they are doing it. The thought process is, put on that direction also. Maybe that's one way of what I'm looking at.
No, definitely it is.
They are innovative for that matter. They look at what is locally available rather than going and getting something from outside. They try to student that.
Being indigenous is obviously an important point.
They have more human resources.
Is it?
More human resources, so we can allocate with less resource. Apart from the human resource, using the human talent and resource, we can maintain get things done with lesser cost budget for him.
Well, on that one, I'd like to add that ISRO's projects have always had less than half of the folks than any other space program you pick, any other leading ones you pick. ISRO's teams are always much smaller because it's part of their strategy. What they do is, like many of the points already raised about in terms of using indigenous materials, having tight budgets, making sure that they keep smaller teams, they put strict timelines. In terms of like when NASA is developing a project, right? They'll always do a test run. ISRO never does a test run. They take calculated risk. They say, while the cost will obviously straight away double up if I go for a test run, I'll rather take a calculated risk and do the final run itself. And one important point which I'll say, which is for Indians, and that's why I was earlier saying that, going back to our roots, Indians are foolishly optimistic a lot of times. I mean, that is one of the reasons that you see so many Indian CEOs in the tech space globally. But ISRO is also very optimistic. That was the mindset point that came in initially. And that has been a key difference. Why I wanted to weave that in before we get into the stories is that all these characteristics, and ISRO is a great example to learn from. All these characteristics would be very beneficial for you as you enter into this new phase. Being true to the first principles of us being Indians, going back to the roots, as I was saying earlier, being cognizant of the resources that you utilize, do not waste them, respect them. As Indians, we have always done that. To respect all forms of resources, natural or human-made. We respect all forms of resources around us. As I was saying earlier, being cognizant of the resources that you utilize, do not waste them, respect them. As Indians, we have always done that. To respect all forms of resources, natural or human-made. We respect all forms of resources around us. So it kind of embodies into ISRO's approach very well. So I just thought of bringing that up. But what we'll do is go through 3 stories. Stories about a partner, about a miracle, and a battlefield. And let's see how it applies to the domain that all of you have now gotten into. Story 1 is of a reluctant partner. Let's paint a picture. This is a software developer. Let's call her Maya. It's late in the night. You can see the glow of the screen on her face and that coffee mug on her table. She's sitting, trying to figure out a mistake in her code. It could be a bare minimum and just a semicolon missing somewhere, but she is going through hundreds of lines of code to figure that part out and trying to correct it. I believe many of you could relate to this thing and this scenario. It's a very normal recurring thing for most of you in terms of trying to do this. Now, take the scenario where her company introduces the Copilot to her. So the Copilot comes in. What's the first reaction is that, like, what will this really do? Will it just replace me? The Copilot has the capability of skimming those hundreds of lines of code, figuring out the mistake and correcting it on its own, which otherwise Maya would have to do for hours. Now it gets done at a click of a button. And sometimes even without her asking for it. The Copilot reviews the code and kind of corrects the code batches automatically. So the primary feeling that most of the developers have today, and that I've seen in the industry, we work with a lot of enterprises building AI native solutions for automation of their workflows, the first resistance comes from the human capital, the human resources, because they feel like their jobs would get replaced. Why I wanted to bring that story out is that you can flip that hourglass and see the co-pilot as more of a helping partner than being reluctant to take that help. If I were to give you a scenario, just imagine this video for a while. If this is the same developer, Maya, what do you guys think is happening over here? What is this video trying to tell you? So the code gets done automatically, which is the grunt work that a developer had to do. It frees them up to think of higher level architects and architecture and designs to build upon. It gives them that freedom for creativity to build upon that. And that's the power AI brings in our life. That's the importance of these tools that we all are seeing. So why this story is that embrace AI. We started like, I know all of you have already done almost 100%. We're already using AI tools, but take it as a very helpful partner in your journey rather than kind of a reluctant one, because instead of replacing your job, it will help you grow in your roles. It will help you get better in terms of what you're doing. So that's the point which I wanted to make. So in the philosophy that comes out of that story is, in today's world, the value will not come from what you know. AI has kind of democratized that value and that information, which the internet, like when I was saying about the dot-com bust and the journey of web from there on, internet are already done it to a large extent. All of us could use a Google search or watch a YouTube video to get to answers. AI has only made that information much more accessible in your Indic languages, in your local languages, through voice, lot more intuitive, lot more easier to get to know that. So that difference between, I would say, a young developer to a more experienced developer is kind of going away. AI could provide a young developer, also somebody who's entering this field, as many of you are. The AI could provide you with as much understanding and knowledge that a mature developer would have. So that kind of levels the playing field. So the differentiation in terms of your value would not be in terms of what you know. The difference would come from how you think, how you could apply that. That previous video which I had in terms of, if you can leave that grunt work for AI or automation to take care of, while you apply your intellectual capabilities to do something more creative, something more monumental from that perspective in terms of building. And as we all already discussed, that India is that stage where we all have that platform given to us with the architecture that we have, the entire DPI ecosystem that we have, the AI coach, which brings in access to models, access to data sets. But I never like, well, when we were building Avatar over the last decade, we never had this access, which all of you would have today getting into this system. So leverage that access. Think of how you want to apply the thinking rather than learning and the rote memorization more, because you're getting into a course. Think of more application than just trying to know more, because that difference will no longer stay. Anyone and everyone can know things in today's world. There's nothing which is a trade secret anymore. It's how you apply your learning which will make the difference. So that's the first philosophy from the story. Let's get into the second story, the impossible key. Now, we have seen, or many of you would be exposed to pharma domain, the vertical. Now, how do drug trials happen over there? It takes more than 4 or 5 years most of the times to get any drug to a clinical stage. We spend more than half a billion of dollars to build that drug. Most of the times in that procedure, that 4 years, why does it take 4 or 5 years to build it? Because what people are trying to do is find a single key to a lock which exists in a warehouse which is probably as big as a city like Bangalore, and that too in dark. So just put yourself in that environment. You have to find that key for that lock. You will have only one key for that lock, and it's all dark around you, and the space is like 40 km wide. Do you think you would practically need those 4 5 years to find that key? Now, what's happening with AI is that those 4.5 years and more than $500 million of cost going into bringing a drug to clinical trial. With AI native approach, we have brought that down to just 18 months, and cost is amazingly reduced, just $2.5 million. One example of this is a very interesting one. IPF is a disease for lungs. It's very fatal. It's uh, kind of affects the functioning of your lungs, and there has been no cure to that for longest of times. There's a company called Insilico Medicines. You guys can read up about it, which built a platform called Pharma.ai. It has two components. One is Pandomix and the other is Chemistry 42. What Pandomix does is it goes through the biological nature of different components and tries to decipher it. And what it was able to do in this entire 18 months, that example is from in silico, the 18 months and 2.5 million cost, that platform was able to figure out the protein, the structure of that protein, which is responsible for the IPF disease to the lungs. And after having figured that out, their other part, chemistry 42, was able to build a molecule that could cure that disease. That molecule didn't exist prior to that. It got developed through AI, through the imagination of AI. So that was like building that key to the lock, which we were looking for years and we're not able to find it. AI has been able to solve that for you. That's the change in this pace of innovation which is happening around us, which we all should take benefit from. So I'll kind of reiterate something which I was saying as the second philosophy, because what you would have understood right now is that how biology and chemistry came together to solve this problem. Pandomix was a biological solution looking at molecules of proteins, which is humanly, it takes months and months to even study one protein form. It's very complex. It was able to do it all in an automated fashion and figure out the reason for the disease, and then chemistry came onto it to solve, find that molecule for the solution or curing that disease. So how different things come together, the interdisciplinary nature is, I wanted to reiterate as the second philosophy, because your careers are not going to be ladders, especially in the space and the time that we all are operating in. These are going to be jungle gyms. How you can best leverage it would be up to you. So let's get to the third story now, the lying voice, right? That's one of the interesting ones which we have. Now, in today's world, I think it was touched upon a little earlier that the race or the battle is not between humans. I would say the ammunition for today's world is a lie which can be developed by technology, and the target of that lie is human mind. So that's the kind of an arms race that we are all in. From a world where we used to always trust and verify, like as humans, we always initiate with a space of trusting each other. From that place, we all have to move to zero trust policy. And why is that? I'll probably take a couple of examples. Let's take a scenario where CFO or two senior executives of a company, which is based out of US, calls up an employee in Hong Kong over a video portal and asks that employee to transfer $25 million to an account, saying that it's very critical and very urgent. And imagine that employee going ahead and transferring that $25 million to that fraudster's account. Well, this is not a story. This is a real scenario which happened last year in 2024 with a company called Aru. They had an employee in Hong Kong who got scammed with a video call, which had their CFO as well as few other senior executives asking that employee to transfer that money into an account. There's another scenario with a company called Wiz, where many employees received voice note from their CEO to share their credentials. Now, in this scenario, the employees were able to figure out that it was a phishing attack because that voice note did not sound like how their CEO would do in a normal scenario. That solution was built on the CEO's public appearances. And the employees understood that how CEO speaks during the public appearance versus how he speaks on a daily basis was different. So human intuition was able to protect them in that scenario, and they were not scammed out of it. So these two scenarios, of course, tells us that the power of deepfakes, the power of AI around us. Just imagine, right? Like your chancellor, sir, you get today all of you are joining over here, right? You get a video message from your chancellor, sir, saying that by end of the day you have to transfer 5 lakh rupees more as the fees to this particular account. Otherwise, your admission stands cancelled. Many of you, just in the worry of your admission getting cancelled, might end up transferring that money. And what will happen is that, like, if it's like 50, 60 folks into 5 lakhs, that 3.5 crore is gone into that scamster's account. So that is the power that AI had. So how can we defend against it? By building the right solutions. So there are solutions which detect deepfakes today. There are solutions which are fighting against all those phishing attempts. There are solutions to get to the root of all the initiatives that people take. Like many of you receive those SMSs where some of your courier is stuck in customs or police is asking you to transfer something. There are a lot of AI solutions which are happening. So I'm talking about this because all of you are in this cybersecurity space as well. There are a lot of initiatives happening to figure out the root or the place from where that message originated and try to decipher if it was a genuine one or not. So this race would be fought with AI. I don't see that humans would be the capital anymore. It would be the AI solutions that any nation has would kind of determine that if are you able to defend yourself or not. And that's why the importance of your space is so huge. So that brings us to the third philosophy, which would apply not just to the giants in the space, but to each and every one of us. The difference between could we versus should we. First question would be, could we build this? So there is like deepfake as a technology is there. You know how to build it. You know how to write a phishing email. But if just having the power of building it, the real question comes in that should we build this? Should you build a solution which could scam others, which could be misleveraged to take unethical actions? So as individuals and people who are getting into the domain, my earnest request would be that we ask this question, like, should we instead of could we? There would be a lot of things that you would learn that you could build, but the ethicality of that should always come into play in terms of would it help the ecosystem, the society, if we were building it. I personally follow four pillars to evaluate this, which is reliability. So the AI solutions that we are building, are they reliable enough? Will they give the right answer or the right output when asked a question? Because many people would be taking a decision basis that. So reliability is one important factor for us. Fairness, which is the second point. Fairness in the sense that there's no biasness which is built into the model. It's not kind of tuned to favor a particular race, a particular gender, a particular group of people to benefit them. Third is security and privacy. As you guys all interact with AI solutions, we all saw that. Is the data that you are sharing with the solution, is it secure and private? If it is not, that is another concern because it could be misused tomorrow. And the fourth pillar is the explainability part. Now, whenever an AI gives a solution, can it explain the thought process which went into coming or arriving to that solution. We look at all AI solutions once meet all these four parameters, then only they are viable and fit to be taken in. Important factor. So, what's the mandate for you guys as you get into this space? Be those architects of trust, be the folks who can build the right kind of solutions, because you all are getting this immense power, which many others are not getting. Just by you deciding to come into the AI domain, you have not only gotten a lot of power into your own hands, but a lot more responsibility also. So my earnest urge to all of you would be to treat that with a good sense of responsibility, because you all are you all are becoming the intelligent architects of future, and how the future gets shaped would be driven by the decisions that you take. If I were to kind of sum up the guidelines, be a systems thinker, bring in the interdisciplinary approach to everything that you do. As we saw earlier, it's no longer about the grunt work in the space. It's about your creativity and how you connect different dots, not just looking back, but also looking forward. How can you connect them would play a key role in terms of how you deliver. Trust and integrity. Of course, we saw the third story, how AI could be used to scam people. So we all need to develop things with integrity, which people can trust upon. We talked about the four pillars, or there are other different mechanisms to kind of frame trust and integrity for any AI solutions. Pick anyone, it doesn't matter. As long as it's ethical and is delivering value for people, that's the more important piece over here. Continuous learning, it kind of goes without saying. It has always been, as human beings, we should always be learning. But now the problem has become much bigger, because that now there's an AI which learns much faster than what humans pace is. It has been growing much faster. The progress has been much faster. So the future would belong to people who have the ability to learn, unlearn, and then relearn. Earlier, the timeline was much longer. We have like a generation to kind of evolve. Unfortunately, or fortunately for us, the times have changed that you don't have a generation to now wait and see how the tech will evolve, how things will change around you. It's happening every day, every week, every month. It's taking up a new shape. So this learning is very important. And the most critical point, you can never do this alone. So that collaborative spirit is very critical. How you can work together to build the right solutions for future would be one important point that we all should focus on. So again, in the flag end of my talk, I'll probably reiterate a famous quote from Steve Jobs, which was "Stay hungry, stay foolish." Stay hungry for the knowledge that is around you. Stay hungry to acquire learning, to become better, to have more creativity around you. Stay foolish. We talked about the foolish optimism, the audacity at certain points to go out and change the world. And for that, it's very important. It's most of the visionaries have been called crazy at some point of time, and it's fine. People may think that you are foolish. It's perfectly fine as long as you are out there with a purpose, trying to build something. But given I'm presenting this, I wanted to add something to it, which is stay connected, which was the previous point of collaborativeness. Stay together, build together. Of course, this is the phase where you will have a lot of opportunities coming your way, and none of you can do it all alone. That for that interdisciplinary part as well, having a team that can challenge you, that can inspire you, is always way more helpful than trying to do it all alone. Find folks who could be around you, who can challenge you, who can inspire you, And that could be one important factor in your own success going forward. Just to sum up, be curious, be collaborative, be the architects of an intelligent age that we can all be proud of. That's what I can urge all of you to be. And with that, I'll probably end my talk. Thank you, guys.